Hello there. Thank you so much for joining us. This is News Channel Nebraska. My name is Eric McKay. Let's take a look at our top headlines today. Beginning on Capitol Hill, now 3 weeks into the federal government shutdown with no end in sight, lawmakers can't agree on whether a stopgap spending plan should keep health care costs from rising. In fact, they can't even agree on whether or not to negotiate. As Amy Kiley reports, now the shutdown is reaching an infamous historic milestone.
We need to end the shutdown.
At 21 days, the government shutdown is now tied for the second longest in U.S. history. Democrats say they want a funding bill that addresses Medicaid cuts and expiring Obamacare subsidies.
Tens of millions of Americans are about to experience dramatically increased premiums, copays, and deductibles.
Republicans say they won't discuss that until Democrats pass their funding bill with no changes.
What exactly is there to negotiate?
The shutdown ties 130 years ago when congressional Republicans gave up about half the Medicare cuts they wanted in return for a balanced budget.
Newt Gingrich shut down the government in 1995 because he wanted Clinton to cut Medicare. Clinton wouldn't do it.
We didn't let the fighting stop the negotiating. We also didn't let the negotiating stop the fighting.
The longest shutdown ever remains the one during President Donald Trump's first term. It holds the record of 35 days after Democrats refused to pay for a border wall.
Whatever it takes. I mean, we're going to have a wall.
He didn't get it. And when air traffic controllers started not showing up to work, the Republicans buckled on that.
Unions say this shutdown is hard on air traffic controllers, too. Pre-existing staff shortages have many working overtime now without pay.
You're allowing outside stress to work its way into the control room.
Amy Kiley reporting, News Channel Nebraska.
During U.S. Senator Pete Ricketts' annual campaign fundraiser in Arlington over the weekend, Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen shared an update on the fast-tracked opening of the Immigration's Customs and Enforcement facility in McCook. Hanky Hazelton has more.
Governor Jim Pillen fired up hundreds of Republicans from all over the state at a fundraiser for Senator Pete Ricketts, sparking huge applause as he announced the grand opening of the Cornhusker Clink in McCook.
I hope that you're all excited about that and pleased about that.
Under a 3-year deal with Homeland Security, the governor says the detention center is designed to hold the most violent offenders.
We will start putting criminals that have gotten here that have been trafficking drugs, sex trafficking, doing a lot of bad things.
Right now, the facility is empty, and Governor Pillen made it clear that filling it with immigrants is not the goal.
We're going to start making sure that our communities are safer and send these folks back where they need to go. The criminals, this isn't about immigration, this is about safety and security.
The new immigration detention center in McCook is set to house 280 inmates for up to a year. And Governor Jim Pillen and state officials will be joined by Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem for the grand opening on Friday, October 24th. In Arlington, Hanky Hazelton, News Channel Nebraska.
Nebraska's tax receipts suffering a setback just as lawmakers might be getting a better idea how much money they'll have to work with in their next budget. A report from the Nebraska Department of Revenue this week showed that September tax receipts showed a net loss of 6.6%. That's about $47 million in terms of real dollars and cents. For the current fiscal year, net receipts just shy of 1% below what the Economic Forecasting Advisory Board predicted. This news comes just before that same board is expected to update their projections on Nebraska's budget deficit heading into next year's legislative session. State Senator Rob Clements of Elmwood is chair of the Appropriations Committee. He told the Nebraska Examiner one reason for the drop could be an acceleration in tax credits related to the Imagine Act, which allows businesses to receive tax credits for relocating to Nebraska. A scooter crash this past weekend in Kearney is underscoring the importance of newly implemented local rules for e-bikes, scooters, and ATVs. Peter Rice has the details on the new laws in place.
A scooter crash Sunday night in Kearney highlights why city leaders updated rules for e-bikes, scooters, and ATVs last week. Kearney city leaders passing new rules to define where and how e-bikes, scooters, and ATVs can operate.
This is a problem across the state. All cities are experiencing this, all large cities. We can get some general rules in place and then maybe add on to them as we see different scenarios pop up.
Police say the changes give officers authorities they didn't previously have before. On Sunday night, 2 children on scooters collided with a car in the south part of town. One child went to the hospital in a neck brace. Police say the driver was not at fault, and the crash highlights why following city rules for scooters and e-bikes is important, especially since the children did not stop at the intersection or wear helmets.
We have some incidents recently where children are on electric foot scooters. They're flying through intersections and not stopping, and so that's obviously a huge safety concern.
E-bikes and bicycles are allowed on sidewalks and trails, but they must yield to pedestrians and obey all stop signs. Scooters are allowed on streets under 35 miles per hour. Downtown sidewalks are off limits, and riders must use hand signals and stay to the right. ATVs and UTVs are allowed for snow removal or city-approved uses. Vehicles must have lights, insurance, and safety flags. Police are planning a safety campaign in the spring in order to educate riders, and they now can issue citations if riders ignore the rules.
And the number one goal is education. We don't want our officers going around town handcuffing kids and impounding their scooters. But we need to at least have something in code where we can point to. The officers could potentially roll up to a person on a scooter and say, hey, you can't be doing that.
The ordinance passed unanimously last week and takes effect immediately, giving police additional tools to keep streets and trails safe. In Kearney, Peter Rice, News Channel, Nebraska.
A rather strange incident led an American Airlines flight to make an emergency landing just 18 minutes after takeoff Monday evening. The flight bound for LA turned around almost immediately after taking off from Omaha's airport. The reason? The interphone system on the plane operated by SkyWest Airlines failed. That meant the pilot couldn't communicate with flight attendants, and he said he heard someone outside the cockpit door. Turned out that it was only the flight crew knocking on the door. Thankfully, the plane was able to take off after a few minutes with no further issues. A tip from the public has led to 3 people being cited for that vandalism at Webb Plaza in Grand Island over the weekend. Grand Island police say they've issued tickets to Sapphire Utley and Charlie Burke. Utley lives in Grand Island. Burke's from Omaha. Both got criminal mischief citations. Grand Island police say a third person, Mitchell Headland, also cited for providing false information over the course of the investigation. And in small towns all over the country, hospitals are lifelines for both health and the local economy. That lifeline is under strain, though. The Center for Healthcare Quality and Payment Reform says more than 100 rural hospitals have closed in the past decade. Some 700 more are now at risk of shutting their doors. But in Valentine, there's reason to celebrate. Casey Wannenberg tells us why.
Just look at the body language in this room.
Oh, I was hoping there'd be some oldies but goodies.
What do you think is going on?
Agnes Owens.
Oh, yeah, right.
Definitely something special, right?
Seen so many people here today that we haven't seen in maybe 10 or 15 years, and it's just very much like a family reunion.
Cherry County Hospital in Valentine is celebrating 50 years at its current location.
72.
Bringing together current and former employees from across the state.
When you work so closely together on the weekends, on holidays, and you have all those shared experiences, no matter what department of the hospital you're in, you all become a family.
Chris Bittner was first hired to work here in 1978. But she's not the only longtime employee.
Started at 35 cents an hour.
Her coworker Shirley Knutson began working for the healthcare system when she was just 13 years old, before the move to this location.
The old hospital had an upstairs, and that's where the patients were. So you'd have surgery or have your baby downstairs, and they would have to carry you upstairs.
Like, what do you mean by carry?
Like carry, because there was no elevator then.
Because of the issues with the old building, the county passed a bond in 1973. This new hospital opened in 1975.
I was hired to build it.
John Davenport was the administrator at that time. He traveled back to Valentine for this celebration.
I brought it to the table for the board to look at. I had a fantastic board. You would not be standing there today if it wasn't for my board of directors.
During the event, Davenport also met the current CEO, Jim Bargan.
The largest employer in Cherry County, so we're a huge economic driver. Without the hospital, the town would, and the community would really suffer significantly. So it's really important from that standpoint, but we're so remote also that we need care close.
Bargan says the hospital is expanding specialty services, including adding a GI doctor and orthopedic specialist. And there's a preliminary plan to add on to the facility.
We're looking to bring MRI in-house, so we don't have the trailer only 2 times a week. And we're desperately short on material management storage, which doesn't sound very cool, but it's really important. And you know, when we've had material shortages in the past, they've really impacted us. Like when the IV situation happened after the hurricanes in North Carolina, we had to cancel surgeries.
Upgrades that will hopefully keep this small town hospital thriving for decades to come. Because for many here, this is more than just a building.
In this building, the people here, they're my family.
In Valentine, Casey Wannenberg, News Channel, Nebraska.
And you can stay up to date with the very latest by following us online. Head to newschannelnebraska.com, click on the News tab there. You can also follow us on X, like us on Facebook and Instagram as well. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. This is News Channel Nebraska.